All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little Warrior video. Draymond Green's suspension has come down. We'll talk about that coming up next. But Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California, is the proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And this video is brought to you by Mojo Fantasy. I'm loving Mojo Fantasy. Click that link in the description, and they will match you up to your first $100 deposited. Make sure you hit the Krug Show, or maybe you should hit Krug, I should say, in the promo code KRUEG, and they will match you up to $100. And also, everybody who does it automatically enters into a drawing to win a Bosa or a Purdy jersey on Thanksgiving night. All right, let's talk a little bit about the story of the afternoon. I think a lot of people thought this would not come down until possibly tomorrow, just because of the time of day. But sure enough, the NBA has suspended Draymond Green 5 games for his part in the fisticuffs last night between the Warriors and the T Wolves. Um, to me, that seems about right. It seems about right. 2 or 3 games would have been a slap on the wrist. If he had no priors, maybe he gets 2 to 3 games. Because he does have priors, he gets 5. There were people speculating he may get as many as 10. That would have been super dramatic in my mind. You're going to get suspended 10 games of an 82 game regular season for what he did yesterday. That would have been incredibly severe. But there's a lot of people who are like, hey, get him out of the league, you know? And basically what happened was Clay Thompson got into it with Jaden McDaniels at the beginning of the Warriors T Wolves game. It happened in the backcourt. They grabbed each other's jerseys. They started kind of pushing each other around. McDaniels looked like he ripped Clay's jersey. Then Rudy Gobert slid his arm around Clay's neck. And I think that's really what set off Draymond Green, who immediately went up to Rudy Gobert and got him in a headlock the same way that he had gotten Thompson in a headlock. And of course, Green's headlock was far more severe, and then he dragged Gobert several feet, maybe 10, 15 feet, from the neck, as after he had him in the headlock. So that the more you look at it, the more it looked bad. You knew it was going to be suspension worthy. So there you go. I mean, I won't say that it was the worst thing I've ever seen. Some people are saying he should be suspended for the entire season. A lot of the reaction are, this is not nearly enough. It should have been 10 games or more. Draymond has issues. And, there's a lot of people that feel like Draymond Green, should have gotten a longer suspension. I think for Warrior fans, you're going to weigh in and say, yeah, this sounds about right. Sounds about right. 2 to 3 games without priors, with priors, 5. The idea that he would have gotten 10 just seemed to me to be a little bit severe. But you know what? There's a lot of people that are tired of Draymond Green's antics on the floor, but at the same time, um, I like a player that will come to the rescue of one of his teammates, you know. And Gobert did put his arm, or you can say that Draymond escalated it, and he did, but Gobert did put his arm around Clay's neck and created that image of of a headlock. And the bottom line is, if a guy like Gobert, who's not involved in the fight, wants to, you know, minimize the fight or de-escalate the fight, then his play is to grab his guy, McDaniels. That's the guy he should have grabbed. Simply because if you're really trying to diffuse the fight, you grab your own guy and pull him off. You don't grab another guy by the head and put your arm around his neck and think that's going to de-escalate the fight. It's not. It's going to have the opposite effect, and it had the opposite effect. and it's just like we're supposed to read your intentions that what you grabbed Clay Thompson, who's on the other team, to de-escalate the entire thing. Well, that's just not the way that's just not the way it works. If you wanna de-escalate, you grab your own guy. You grab your own guy and pull him off. You don't make an aggressive move to somebody else, because if you make an aggressive move to somebody else, then, essentially, you're just throwing yourself into a multi-person melee and injecting yourself into the fight, and that's what he did. And then Green injected himself into the fight and took it too far by pulling Gobert while in a headlock back about 8 to 10 feet. And the more you watch the video, the more you thought, oh, there's no way he's gonna get by with no suspension. Um, just simply because you're just not gonna get away with that when the optics are so bad and you have priors. If you're Draymond Green and you've got several other things that you've gotten involved with in the past, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. It's as simple as that. And then when you looked at it again and you see, you know, basically Gobert getting pulled by his neck, back 8, 10 feet, you knew a suspension was coming for Draymond Green. So I think it sounds about right. 5 games sounds about right to me. Let's not pretend it was more than what it was. And also, let's not pretend that Draymond Green doesn't have priors and doesn't have, other situations that have come up before that make you say, yeah, it's got to be a little bit more severe. Should have been 2 to 3 games if he had no priors, because he did. He gets 5. 10 would have been absurd. People saying that he should have been thrown out of the league. That's absurd. People saying that he should have been done for the year. That's absurd. There are people saying, oh, well, Draymond needs anger management classes. I don't think he needs anger management classes. But at the same time, when you have a history of these types of outbursts and issues, that has to factor into the equation and did. And I think it's about right. That sounds about right to me. When I heard the discussion this afternoon, the discussion was talking about, oh, he's going to get 10 games for sure. But you're gonna take a guy off the floor for 10 games out of an 82 game schedule for something that amounted to basically nothing. I you know I That to me would have been very, very severe. That would have been extremely severe. So, as far as this takes Draymond off the floor now for 5 games. It hurts the Warriors. He'll return for the Sacramento game. um, and we'll see where it goes from here. If he has some other issue that comes up again this year. But I like a guy who defends his teammates. You know, if your teammates getting involved in something, if it's on my team, if it was me, I'd want one of my teammates to come to my defense. And that's the beauty of Draymond Green. He's always going to jump in to defend his teammates, to defend his guy. In this case, his guy was Clay Thompson. If it had just been Clay and McDaniels the entire time, then there's no reason to jump in. But once Gobert put his arm around Clay's neck, to me, that was license for Draymond to jump in. Now, jump in, okay, but you have to have a reciprocal response to what Gobert was doing, and Draymond, of course, did not have a reciprocal response. He had over the top response and wound up not just getting Gobert in a headlock, he got him in a much more severe headlock and then pulled him back 10 feet. And for that, there had to be a suspension, and 5 games makes a lot of sense. So, anyway, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Mojo Fantasy. Check that link in the description and type in Krug, and automatically they'll match you for your first deposit up to $100. And everybody who does it at Mojo Fantasy will be entered into a drawing to win a Bosa or a Purdy jersey on Thanksgiving night. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.